Welcome back, everyone, to our final instalment of Transfer Weekly for 2022. Thank you for all your support so far. This is now episode number 5, and it's going to be our last edition for 2022. And we have some big news coming up in this episode. To help talk me through all the transfer news for you this week in the feeder series, we have our Danish ACCR and our new Formula Regional Oceania Championship editor, Jan Husmann. Welcome back. Of course, he was with us from episode 4 and back from episode number 2, the man who takes care of everything over in Japan. We have a lot of news over in Japan this week. Rene Oudman, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you back with us. We're going to come to you first, Rene. We're not going to talk about Japan first because news coming in on Friday, not on your birthday, but on this driver's birthday. Richard Verschoor has been announced that he is going to be joining Van Amersfoort Racing for 2023 in FIA Formula 2. He makes the switch from Trident. He comes the first driver to join the team in what is just their second season. He finished 12th last season, won the season opener, of course, taking 4 podiums. And now he makes the switch over to Van Amersfoort if they look to push forward in their second season of Formula 2. What a birthday present for him. What do you make of this one, Rene?
Yeah, it's a big Dutch party, Chris. It's a Dutch driver driving for a Dutch team. Yeah, it's we lost out on the World Cup, but this is our party day, I guess. Richard celebrated his 22nd birthday today, so congratulations to him. Obviously, it was already a little bit, people knew there was something going on with Richard and Frits van Amersfoort as he tested for them in Abu Dhabi. This afternoon we got the message that Richard would join Van Amersfoort for next season. I believe that's a pretty solid combination. Van Amersfoort obviously had some issues this year with tire management. I think Jake Hughes can talk us all about that. But Richard has done a good job last season of this season. It's still 2022 in Trident. Yeah, I think, Chris, I do believe he can be a strong contender next year in Van Amersfoort Racing.
Yeah, of course, Jake's going to push over now to Formula E. But what do you make? Do you think the team is going to have learned a lot now from this first season?
It's always hard to say. I mean, it's the winter break, so we tend to speculate about everything what can happen and what's going to happen. But obviously, there are a few pretty experienced guys over at Van Amersfoort Racing, and they know how to do things and when to do things. So I really believe that Richard Verschoor and Van Amersfoort Racing could aim for a place in the top 5, although Richard will probably will be keen to be in the hunt for the championship, as this will be his 3rd season in Formula 2, obviously. I believe they can make a step forward.
Now, we did mention in that the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. We're going to come to that next. And Jan, we're going to come to you because we do have some transfer news in that. And yes, once again, it comes from Prema. They have kept on board their team, Rafael Camara. He raced with them in the Italian and ADAC F4 championships last year, finishing 3rd in both championships. He now makes the step up to FRECA next season, where he joins his old teammate Andrea Kimi Antonelli and a new teammate in Lorenzo Fluxa. Jan, what do you make of this one? I mean, Prema won both titles last year. Now they're going to have 2 rookies in their team, but 2 very strong rookies. What do you make of Camara going back over to Prema? I mean, he had a strong season with them last year.
Yeah, it's a very quick step actually up from Formula 4 because he was a true rookie last year. He had his first Formula 4 race in the UAE Formula 4 at the start of the year. Then he competed in ADAC Italian F4, and everything he did last year was good. So he finished vice champion in UAE Formula 4. He finished 3rd in Italian ADAC Formula 4. And of course, he has the Ferrari backing. He's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, so he will be put in good spots to compete for every race win, every title. And I think it's a well-deserved step up to FRECA. As I said, first year last year in Formula 4, so it's a quick step up. but he's proven that he can do that step, and it's a very exciting lineup with 2 rookies, 2 very, very good Formula 4 drivers in FRECA next year for Prema, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they will get on in the next step of their career.
Rene, we're going to come back to you, and we're going to make the switch over to Japan. Super Formula is going to welcome 2 non-Japanese drivers to the series so far next year. We're going to talk about the first one overall, a big name coming from FIA Formula 2. His name is Liam Lawson. He makes the switch over to Team Mugen, where he's going to race alongside Tomoki Najiri. He finished 3rd in F2 this season, taking 4 wins and 10 podiums. He was, of course, a test and reserve driver for AlphaTauri, then for Red Bull as well. So we saw him out racing or competing in some of the FP1 sessions. What do you make of this one, Rene? I mean, it came as a bit of a surprise for me personally. Did it come as a surprise to you?
Well, to be honest, it was the worst kept secret of the paddock. I mean, Liam Lawson was kind of like the person. Yeah, sorry, Chris.
I know nothing then. I know nothing.
But look, when Nick de Vries came into play at AlphaTauri, it was always the cause for Liam Lawson to get something else. I mean, it was his 2nd year in Formula 2, if I remember correctly. And Red Bull is not very keen on having someone a 3rd season in Formula 2. So then they opted for the alternative route, like they did with Pierre Gasly, and go to Japan. Team Mugen is the obvious choice because the Red Bull and Mugen connection is there. It's a shame for Ukyo Sashihara, who drove a brilliant season this year in the 2nd Mugen car, but he is being axed because Red Bull pays for the entry of Liam Lawson. It's obviously it's a weird marketing thing the Japanese do, like they just drop all the names in one go, like this is the entry list for next season. It's a marketing nightmare, but it works for them, and Japanese tend to do things a little bit differently. So I think Liam Lawson has the best teammate you can think of in Tomoki Najiri, who won back-to-back championships in dominant fashion. I believe Liam, he is very talented, and I think he will be able to race for like wins. But the championship in Japan is just a whole other story. And Stoffel van Doorn and Gasly and Alex Palou and Felix Rosenqvist have all experienced it. It took even a guy like Andre Lotterer 8 years to capture that title. So it will be good to see what Liam is able to do in Japan. And if he can get a Formula One chance because of his results in Super Formula in 2024, maybe.
So you think maybe this is what could open the door for him to come back and into an F1 team, because he got his head around a DTM car very quickly. So
yeah. Well, we know of him that he is able to adapt. So this can be his standout performance to get the management in Red Bull in his favor. To maybe if Nick de Vries does not really appeal, or maybe if Yuki Tsunoda doesn't get the results in 2023, that a good season in Japan can make the Red Bull brass think like, oh yeah, we need to get Liam in that second car in AlphaTauri. I see it as a good opportunity for him.
Well, we must push on. Let's go to the next driver who's going to be moving to Super Formula, and that's going to be the South African-British driver, Raul Hyman. He raced over in the Formula Regional Americas Championship this season, where he absolutely blitzed the championship, taking 11 wins and out of 18 races. He's, of course, a former F3 Asian champion as well. He's going to be racing with the B-Max team alongside Nobuharu Matsushita. I think this is a fantastic opportunity for someone like Raul Hyman. What do you think,
Chris,
Rene?
All hail to Raul Hyman. I think what this kid has done is nothing but very, very impressive. His career was like it was like gone. He was no longer a racing driver, and then he came back winning the Formula Regional Americas Championship in dominant fashion. getting that scholarship to drive in a Honda-powered car in Super Formula, obviously taking this chance. Kevin Simpson had the chance last year, but he decided to decline and go on in the Road to Indy ladder. Raul will go to Japan. He will team up with Nobuharu Machista, who is a well-known Japanese driver. Obviously, we have seen him race for years in GP2 and Formula 2, where he won races. Nobuharu is a big deal in Japan, and obviously Raul can learn from him from the data. This is a kind of a weird deal as well, as BMAX got a second car because Team Go folded. So it's like the transfer market in Japan has gone berserk the last few weeks. But it's a very good chance for Raul again, and it's very well deserved.
We wish him the best of luck. A career heavily affected by COVID, I think it was as well. You could see that part of his career just went completely absent. I remember Raul when he was in karting, very talented kid. So great to see him getting this opportunity. Right, we're going to go from Super Formula down to Italian F4. It's a championship we have been following in this series as and when we can. Really, we've only been following one team because only one team has been made in signings. Yes, you've guessed it. Prema have now announced their fourth driver for next season, and that is Arvid Lindblad. He is going to be racing with the team next season. He makes the switch across from Van Amersfoort to Prema to become their fourth driver. He'll race alongside Ugo Chukwu, James Wharton, and Nicolas Lecourt, the Red Bull junior team driver. Let's come back to you, Jan. I mean, Arvid hit this. This is almost a star team, isn't it? Alongside Ugo, James, and Nicola there. That's a really tasty lineup Prema have.
Yeah, they can simulate the Formula One championship with the McLaren driver, with the Ferrari driver. Now, Arvid joins as a Red Bull driver, just in the Prema Italian F4 team. It's very exciting. It will be a good test as to whose academy has the most talented F4 driver in 2023. And he started already participating in rounds of Italian F4 last year. He participated in 8 races in total. He finished in the points 3 times across these 8 races after he just turned 15 in August. So he's very young. He's a very talented karting driver. So it will be very, very exciting to see him now full-time Italian F4. And he will also race in a different F4 series across the year, as Prema tends to do, not to join just the Italian F4. So very exciting lineup for Prema with 4 very talented drivers, I think.
Yeah, he's also actually coached by Oliver Rowland as well. Got to spend some time with those guys at some of the races this year. Of course, Ollie raced in a GP2 with some success. So best of luck to both of them and the rest of his teammates next season. Jan, I want to stick with you because last time we had you on, we were talking about Toyota Racing Series. Is it going to be able to compete with the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship? It's now rebranded to the Formula Regional, to the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championships. That's another one to add. So, yeah, I'm going to ask you the question again. Does this rebrand now give them some backing to really go and compete with the Middle Eastern Championship? Because so far, there's only 3 drivers on that grid for next season.
Yeah, they really did a big step last week. I think there were good news and bad news. The bad news is MTech Motorsports dropped out of the championship. They will not compete in 2023. But on the other side, the most important part is that they will now give 18 super license points to the champion. So it's level with the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship. They tend to need less budget for their championship as their Middle Eastern competitors, as you will just race in New Zealand. You have not the big teams that race in Europe over there, but you have, for example, Kiwi Motorsports, who also race in the Road to IndyCar. So we already seen some drivers coming over from the USF Juniors, for example, to the Toyota Racing Series or Formula Regional Oceania Championship now. Of the, I think it's 7 drivers announced so far, 4 are from the US. So maybe this is kind of the market they will tap into this year and the next years, that they give drivers who wouldn't go from Europe all the way to New Zealand, but drivers that come from South America, North America, and Asia to race in New Zealand, and then still produce a very exciting grid and a very exciting championship at the start of the year.
So, well, I'm personally, as someone who works with the guys at FRECA, happy always to see another Formula Regional Championship. Guys, we must press on. We're going to end the show by talking about the F1 Academy. Of course, this is the new championship, the all-female series that Formula One has launched for next season. And this week, they announced the 5 teams that are going to be competing for next season, or with 3 drivers each. They are, in alphabetical order, ART, Campos, Carlin, MP, and Prema. So all teams that race on the F2 and F3 ladders. I want to ask you quickly both your thoughts about this before we wrap up. Rene, I'll start with you. What do you make about F1 Academy? It did get some mixed opinions when it was first announced, but I mean, those teams, definitely, if you can get yourself in one of those teams from racing this F1 Academy, surely you're in the hot seat to get yourself into a FRECA car, or at least an F3 car.
I believe this works better than W Series. I believe, because of what you said, the teams are there already. So if you make an impression on the teams, you can easily get on with them in FRECA or in F3. But we will see. We will see. I don't really believe in segregation, but we have to start somewhere. So this sounds better than W Series did.
And what about yourself, Jan? What do you make of this?
Yeah, I think it's very good to have these established junior teams now in the F1 Academy. It will be very interested to see if some of the drivers from F1 Academy run in a different championship when they're with MP or Campos, that they will have some outings in the Spanish Formula 4, or if they go to Italian Formula 4 with Prema, or British Formula 4 with Carlin. ART at the moment does not have any Formula 4 cars, as far as I know. But all of these teams are experienced with the car that they will handle in the F1 Academy, and I think it's a great chance to give these young women a chance to show themselves.
Yeah, on the big stage as well. Who knows, maybe the teams a chance for some new engineers, mechanics to show themselves on the big stage as well. Just quickly wrap up. Of course, we are on the other side of this going to be straight to the Middle Eastern Championships. PHM, the only team to announce their drivers for Formula Regional so far. 27 drivers currently signed up for UAE F4. We now have 14 drivers signed up for Formula 2, 11 for Formula 3. So there are still plenty more announcements to come here on Transfer Weekly. Guys, thank you very much for joining me for episode 5. This has been the final episode of 2022. Do have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. From myself, from Rene, from Jan, from the whole team at F1 Feeder Series, we thank you all for your support on this brand new series, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side. Do give us a like and subscribe, support the channel. There's going to be plenty more content going out. Episode 6 will be coming up in the new year as we build up to all the championships over in the Middle East and keep you up to speed with any transfers that happened over in the Christmas time. But for now, from all of us, do have a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year, and we will see you on the other side. Bye-bye.